but I don't want the same. I wanna see your body when you look so good, look so fine. Baby, you just blow my mind. Baby, you're the last thing that's playing on my mind.
They're moving crazy.
When I go to sleep tonight, baby, you'll be there in my head. You can keep me up all night. You light my fire, baby. I feel it burning higher when I'm in your eyes. You light my fire, baby.
Currently, we are in Kona, big island of Hawaii. Got in Tuesday night, the 22nd. Got a couple good sessions in during taper week in the conditions we'll be facing tomorrow in the Ironman World Championship. Vibes are high, nerves are high, but very honored to be here. Grateful to have this opportunity. This exact goal really began 2 years ago when I texted my coach after Muncie 70.3. I set out a goal of winning my age group in Ironman Chattanooga last year, and then I asked him if he thought it would be feasible to be competing for the age group win in the Ironman World Championships in 2024, and he said absolutely, and that kind of kickstarted this whole process. And so it's really been 2 years in the making leading up to this day, with this race being the main goal. I don't know, this week's been a lot of very high highs and very low lows. I feel like I keep swinging back in between extreme confidence in myself, knowing what I'm capable of, and then it'll swing right back into just being extremely nervous and quite intimidated by this race. But I think the combination of both are needed and necessary. Like, you can't go into a race of this caliber without that respect for the course and the respect for your competitors and the respect for this island. And so, like, you have to be aware and be afraid in a sense, because you can't just go out there cocky and expect just to have your best day. Like, you got to go in a little afraid. We'll see tomorrow, but I think the combination of the respect / intimidation I have for this race and for this island will be beneficial in keeping me patient and keeping my race under control until I know that the moment is there. Coach and I have we've been over the plan many times. Like, we've been hitting race pace, race intensities for months. Since Louisville, all we've been doing is like very specific workouts for this race and specific heat training. And so going into the swim, obviously it's my weak point. I've been swimming well. I felt pretty strong in my swims here. Going into the swim, I think the main goal is just to swim hard, try and find some feet, sight well, and just enjoy. Like, the water's so clear, so it's so fun. Just enjoy the swim. The whole race, I'm just gonna try to really appreciate this opportunity and the honor that it is to race here, and that we're allowed to race here, and the privilege that comes with that. And then onto the bike, we have a power target. We're setting around 225 to 235 watts, pretty conservative, well within myself. We're gonna assess when we get to the big climb in Javi. We'll see how we feel, if we want to up it or not. We'll see. I plan on keeping the bike conservative, just knowing that the run's going to be a hot one. But going into the run, I'm super confident in my running abilities. This is my best run build ever. So going into the run, I'm just praying that the heart rate's under control, because I know that there's a chance I can absolutely rip it. And so I'd like to keep the bike conservative to give myself more of an opportunity to just run everyone down. There's no real pace goal there. I'm just going to run off heart rate and mostly feel. Like, we'll see if it's cloudy, if the sun's out, windy. We'll see how I feel. It's kind of just up to conditions, and once I hear the gaps, I'm sure the competitiveness will come out, and we'll see. It'll be a run. Yeah, I know that for sure. Yeah, I can't wait. The amount of work I've poured into this build, I could care less what happens tomorrow. I know how hard I've worked. I know everything I've done to get here. The preparation has been as perfect as it could have been. It's just unreal to be able to race in the Ironman World Championships on this island. I just can't even believe I'm here, and I cannot wait to hear the drums, hear the gun go off, and just experience everything that comes with these conditions. And I know it's going to be hard, and in the moment I will struggle, but that's what I've wanted. I've been dreaming to have the privilege to struggle here, and I cannot wait to have to dig as deep as possible tomorrow. Just such an honor. I can't wait. It's gonna be a special one. Just sending love to everyone. Good luck to everyone tomorrow. I hope the conditions are favorable. I hope everyone has a great race and appreciates their time. You might only get to race here once, so just enjoy the moment and watch out for me. Because I'll be coming.
Yeah.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Let's fucking go, baby.
The first of our big group of age group amateur men are on their way.
Can't get you out of my head.
Let's go, Gabbard. You're smoking right now. You're smoking.
Let's go. Let's go, buddy. Get out of it.
Let's go, Kyle! Come on, baby! Kyle, you look awesome, buddy. You look awesome. Stay nice and smooth, big guy. You got this. Great job. You're fucking looking amazing, man. Strong as can be. Keep that pace, baby. Keep that pace, baby. Let's go! Oh, yeah! Hold freaking yes, baby!
Gabbard from the USA, you are an Ironman!
Today's October 28th. We're 2 days post World Championships. We are still in Kona, Hawaii. It's sad to be done. It's been a nice break from reality in Indiana, so it'll be a bit depressing to go back, but we got work to do. So race morning, got up at 3:15. I think it was like 4:40. Got in transition, kind of organized my bags. All I really had to do was air up my tires and like calibrate my pedals. And then it was just trying to calm myself down before the race started and stay hydrated. Took a final dump. Pro started at 6:25. So I headed back into transition around 6:10, watched the pros start, lined up with my age group and the 25 to 29 age group. It was my first time actually starting in the water, so that was a pretty cool experience. I probably got out to the start at like 6:35 and we started at 6:40, so I was probably treading water for like, I would say like 3 to 5 minutes. And I was just talking to the guy that was next to me, and it was just cool. It was a really cool experience. The pier was lined with people. It was special. It was cool just seeing how many people that came to support and how big of a race this was. I really wasn't nervous. I was excited to just get swimming, and I was just grateful to have the opportunity to be a part of the race. Yeah, I was feeling really solid, but water was super calm. Was able to get my stroke going well, found some feet, was swimming in a good group. for probably the first 1500. Started to fade a bit, got to about the halfway point and my goggles were leaking, so I had to quickly stop and adjust my goggles and try and get back into it. Probably about like 2,500 yards or so into it. I don't know, my arms were just exhausted. I don't know exactly what it was. I was just fading really hard and felt like I had no energy in my arms. I don't know, I felt like I had like spaghetti arms and my arms just would not pull how they usually do. So it was a bit of a struggle getting back in, and my goggles just kept leaking. Every time they would like completely fill up, I would stop and readjust them real quick. But I feel like I swam the first half probably in, I would guess like 32, 33 minutes, and then had a semi blow up and came in pretty slow on the second half. So I feel like my swimming's definitely got a lot better. I swam a 1:13, so I was still pretty happy with that. But based on how I swam the first half, I know there's a lot more there. I got stung by a jellyfish near the tail end of the swim on the back of my right leg. I knew there were jellyfish in the water, but I didn't really actually expect them to be out stinging. And I've never been stung by a jellyfish before, so when it happened, I didn't really process that I was getting stung. I just like felt a sharp pain and burning on the back of my leg, and I stopped and was like trying to wipe it off because I really didn't know what it was. And then I just kept swimming. And then when I got into T1, there was volunteers in the aid station saying that there was some like jellyfish spray that they were giving people, and I asked him, I was like what would a jellyfish sting even feel like? Because I did not know what had happened. And when he explained, I was like, oh yeah, all right, I definitely got stung. So I got the spray. Yeah, it was an interesting swim, mentally tough. Long time to be out in the water. My mind quickly went to wanting to quit, which really sucked. I gotta work on that, I guess, but I don't know, going into the race, I feel like I was in a mentally good headspace, and then it sucks to be 40 minutes into the race and already want to quit. It's not a good spot to be in, but once I got into T1 and done with the swim, it kind of flipped back to wanting to race. It was a brief moment of despair, but still not fun to be so distraught 40 minutes into a 9+ hour race.
How did T1 go?
Slow. At that point, like I was like pissed off about the race, and I had just been stung by a jellyfish. So I took my time. I saw Scott, gave him a high five, and I was smiling. It was slow, but I was starting to, I don't know, I love cycling and was really excited to get on the bike. So I was excited to get going, and in the moment, I never feel like it goes that slow. And then whenever I look at my transition times, I realize how slow it was. But I definitely was taking my time. I wasn't in that big of a rush. Got on the bike, mounted it well. I felt good immediately. I was settling in pretty quickly. Saw a lot of my supporters out there, which gave me a good boost. The weather really wasn't bad at that point. It was pretty overcast. I really wasn't hot at all. Once I got out on the Queen K, we had a bit of a tailwind going out. It was extremely fast, which was a lot of fun. Power was looking really good. Position felt great, and I was passing a lot of people, which was always fun. Up until the start of the climb in Hobby, I was probably averaging about 25.5 miles per hour on about 230 watts, which I was pretty stoked with. And then once you get to the start of the climb is when the crosswinds really picked up, but it wasn't terrible. It was hard to stay in aero position. I just wanted to get to the turnaround point so I could start the descent, and so just kept on the power, mentally stayed engaged. Get to the turnaround point, there's a good crowd there, which was fun. And then quick stop at special needs. Came back down out of Javi, which was a bit of a sketchy descent. I mean, the roads were fine, but any roads that's not in perfect condition going 45 miles an hour with crosswinds is a bit sketch. So it was a bit of a sketchy descent, but it's a race, so wasn't too worried or thinking about it that much. Yeah, after that, you go down out of Javi, and then you gotta do a bit of a climb back onto the Queen K before you turn right. The heat really started to show at that point. The sun was starting to come out, and I could really feel the heat. All I was thinking about was the next aid station when I would get some cold water. I was just going from aid station to aid station, grabbing a couple bottles of water and drinking as much as I could before tossing it. Yeah, overall the bike went really well. The only thing that I struggled with was holding the position at the end. My back was getting really tight, and it was into a headwind coming back on the Queen K, and so it was just a bit tricky to stand in position for extended periods of time. I think it was like 447 and some change, average 23.5 miles an hour. Overall, stoked with how the bike went. T2, I was just excited. I felt good. I was happy to be off the bike. I was running pretty well in transition, like my legs felt good. They weren't locking up or anything. Kind of took my time getting my shoes off, putting my run shoes on. Forgot to put on sunscreen, which I was trying to remind myself to do. I was just excited to get out onto the run course and really see how I was feeling, but in transition I felt good. I felt the legs were fine. I wasn't overheated at all. I don't know exactly my time, but I feel like T2 is around 4 minutes. Ran it at T2. Yeah, it was hot getting out of there. I could already, like, my stomach was already cramping a bit. I think it was just stomach cramps, so I was focusing on just getting my water bottle that had a bunch of sodium in it. I was just trying to get that down. It was like kind of cramping. It wasn't like full-on cramps. They were just like beginning to form, trying to stay on top of the sodium intake. And the first stretch of the run is just on a lead drive. It goes out like 3.5-ish miles before you turn around. And that stretch, it was lined with people, but it was so hot and just exposed. The air felt so still. There was really no wind. So like there's no saving yourself from just the heat. My legs were not, they were fine. My heart rate was higher than I wanted it to be at that point, but it was under control and I was just trying to keep it manageable. Made it to the turnaround point, stopped at like the mile 4 aid station to refill my bottle with water and put another element in the bottle, and made it back towards like the start finish line. My legs finally started opening up a bit around like mile 6, but then of course right after they started feeling half decent, you have to run up Palani, which was so steep and unnecessary. It felt so long, and I felt like I was just barely moving. Made it up Palani, out onto the Queen K. I was destroyed by that point. Emma was out there at like mile 10. She said something like the next few are mine, and then we'll see you at 24. And in my mind, I like hearing that, I was like, damn, I'm like, I won't see anyone until like it's gonna be a long time where it's just gonna be me. Which mentally that was hard to wrap my head around. I don't know, Ironman's and like it's just hard. Like mentally, it's just a battle the whole time. It's hard to fathom running a marathon after biking for 112 miles and running or swimming 2.4. It's just mentally hard to stay engaged the whole time and actually try to be racing. I don't know, it's a tricky thing to do. I definitely haven't mastered the mental side of Ironman racing yet. Yeah, I think it was like mile 10 or 12 is kind of when the wheels started coming off. Like, I don't really know exactly what was going wrong, but I just felt like the legs were fine. I mean, they hurt. It wasn't like they were gone. It was just so hot. I was just exhausted. Started walking aid stations, and then I get to mile 14 is right when you get into the energy lab, and I was going down into the energy lab. Everything just came up, threw up 4 times, and I just emptied my entire stomach. I don't know what happened, but right after that, I felt great again. Decided to start ripping miles off and probably ran 12 minutes at like 7-minute pace. Like, I don't know, I'm not making good decisions out there, and that wasn't a good decision because I just emptied all of my nutrition onto the pavement. I caught up very quickly, and then I felt even worse than I had before, and I realized that I needed to start putting stuff in, but I still had a good 10 miles left. At that point, I was just trying to encourage everyone else. I felt like if I could help others, it would help me keep going in some sense. Like, the only person I saw before I saw my family again was I saw Mitch in the energy lab with Gate, which gave me a little boost. Right at the top of the energy lab, right before the turnaround point, I ran into this one guy that was walking. I kind of just cheered him on, and I was like, let's run for 4 minutes and then walk for 1 minute. I think he said, I will follow you, my friend. And so then he started running behind me, and we ran for about 4 minutes, and then I started to walk, and he started to walk as well. And we were talking a little bit. After the 1 minute of walking went up, we started to run again. His name is Tom. He's from France. We kind of formed a little bit of a friendship out there, and we just were brothers in suffering at that point. We were running again, and we got to the mile 20 aid station, and he said that he was done walking, and so I followed him. And we ran straight through that aid station. And then at mile 21 aid station, I was cramping again. I told him if he felt good enough to just let me go behind, and I didn't want to hold him back at all. And we shook hands, and he went on his way. But we ran together for about, I'd say like 5 or 6 miles. And honestly, he said that I saved his race, and in the same way he saved mine. Like, I was pretty lost at that point mentally, and having just a buddy to share the suffering definitely helped tremendously, and we both were in similar spots where we both had really high hopes and high dreams for this race, and we were extremely humbled by the course, and so it was cool to just share that experience with someone else. He finished really strong. The aid station that we separated was also the last aid station I walked, and I ran the last 4 or 5 miles and actually started to feel a lot better by the end of it. After we had parted ways, it was like mile 22, I started to kind of calculate what my finishing time would look like, and there was a spectator along the side of the road who I asked for the time, and he said it was 4:02. And knowing that I had started at 6:40, I quickly made the goal of going sub 10. Earlier in the run, I thought there was going to be no chance. I kind of had given up and assumed I would be walking the majority of the rest of the run. After meeting my buddy Tom and then hearing 4:02, a new goal was made, and it was just all about getting to the finish line sub 10. I think it was like mile 23 or 24. I saw my brother Luke, and I think he said it was like 4:12, just over 3 miles left at that point. And so I kind of knew unless I literally was crawling at the finish, I would go sub 10. So then it changed just how fast I could finish the last couple miles. I was just pushing it at that point, and then I get up to the top of Polani, and honestly, like, that was probably the best I felt body energy wise the whole run. When I came down Polani and I was turning left, I saw my dad and Brad and then all my TS2 family, and I just gave high fives to all of them. Like, I hadn't seen them in, it felt like years. Seeing them again was really special. Once I started seeing them, knew I was close enough, there was no chance that I was going to walk again. The energy coming back into Polani and through town was just really overwhelming. So cool experience. I think I had a smile literally from the top of Polani all the way to the finish line. It was just a battle out there, but I was so grateful to be able to experience that finish line and just the energy that Kona brings. I don't know what level I thought I was on, but racing in this race and seeing literally the top athletes in the world in this sport all in one place definitely gives me a sense of where I actually am and what I need to do to get to the level that I need to be on. I know there's a ton of work left to be done. After Saturday, I know that it's within me. I don't think it's out of the question, and if anything, Saturday encourages me even more. I feel like I've just started scratching the surface of what's possible. I still have yet to really put together a race that I would say would even come close to being well executed. Definitely humbled, got put in my place a little bit, but 35th U24 in the world, not a bad spot to be on. Sometimes it's hard, like, having everyone there, because during races like that, I feel like I disappoint people. There's just so many emotions tied into everything, and like, I just hold myself to such a high standard. Like, during the race, I was scared to disappoint people. Having everyone there, it's nice to smile during the race. And the only thing that would actually disappoint them, I feel like, would be not finishing. Like, during the race, you just like completely go into your soul and just lay your entire being out, and you kind of have to decide in so many moments who you are as a person. Your whole sense of self is just completely shattered. You do some real soul searching. It's really tricky to be in those moments where like your emotions are so high and so diverse, to be able to really like land on the foundations that you like have set for yourself. There's such high peaks and such low valleys throughout that long of a race. I don't think I was prepared mentally for how exhausting this race would be. My plan was just to be fitter than the conditions, but mentally I just wasn't prepared to go to the depths that were required to compete at the level that I thought I was at. I just want to race more. I feel like I need to race a lot more to really understand my body and its limits. I think I need to start putting it to the test more to really learn more about myself and how hard I can push. Definitely some things to think about, but I'll be racing soon for sure. This is what happens after every race. I just want to double down on everything I've been doing and push it even harder. So I'm really excited to take a very, very brief off season and then get back to work and actually put in some insane hours. I'm just grateful and thankful, grateful for the island to host and to allow us this opportunity to race here, and I know it puts a lot of strain on the people that actually live here. It's an honor to allow us to race here and experience their island. I'm just thankful for everyone that came to support me, all the work they've put in for me, all the sacrifices they've made for me, my family, my friends, my TS2 family, my teammates, their families, all my family and friends at home who have supported me and believe in me. Hope I didn't disappoint you too bad. We're only up from here. I would say a 9:52 debut at the Ironman World Championships is not a bad starting spot for how I perceived the race to go. Like if that's the floor, then I know the ceiling is very high. I'm going to do everything I can to reach that ceiling. I just hope everyone keeps believing, and I love you all.